Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is something we got asked in our Discord server, which you can find a link to somewhere. Which I should mention is something we're looking for. Like we're looking for viewer feedback. If there's things you want us to talk about, then do let us know. The one that came up earlier was how to climb ladder quickly, and me and Rejection sort of went away and talked about this for a while, and in a very strange twist of fate, came to very similar conclusions. It doesn't happen often. Mostly because the way to do it is really not in his wheelhouse.
No.
Like if you spend your days spending a glorious half an hour match playing a control mirror, you will go up and down and not go anywhere. It's just not efficient enough. Realistically, what you need to be doing is playing as many games as possible with a decent deck that if you're new to the game, you may or may not have designed, and if you're new to the game, you probably shouldn't have done yourself if you want to climb quickly. I'm going to let Rejection talk about sort of the ins and outs of why that is, but if you're a budget player, if you're looking to climb ladder, you need to be hitting people very hard and very, very fast.
But not actually in real life. Not in real life. Do not hit people in real life and be like, am I Legends yet? That's not how it works. I tried it.
Or do.
I tried
If you
it.
hit people hard enough and it's in the right situation, you are a legend.
If you
If you have the capability to reach through the screen, beat your opponent up, and then make them rope and lose the game, that is a valid tactic.
If you actually have the ability to choke somebody out through the game, drop me a message. I have a couple of usernames I want you to look up.
First one's mine.
First one's Rejection 01. So, to go into a little bit of in-depth about climbing from rank 12 to rank 6, which seems to be a lot of the place that a lot of newer players get stuck in. Basically because, you know, without saying too much, it's a mess down there. There's a reason why it's called the sewers. It's a mess. Realistically, you're gonna see a lot of decks that should not work. You're gonna have a lot of luck, and you're also gonna see a lot of people that are just playing stuff that's literally meant to keep other people down there, or it's just meant to win, but they're just stuck in one rank for no reason. Best advice, the number one advice that I have for anybody getting out of rank 12 and trying to get into, you know, rank 6 or above, is literally just put in the time. Play, I don't know, 4 or 5 games every day. If you're honestly that passionate about the game and you're not playing for fun and you honestly want to get out of go more towards the skill oriented games as opposed to just, you know, throw something at the wall and hope that it sticks, you always want to just give it time. 4 or 5 games easily every single day can get you up there. Even if you're playing a truly honestly bad deck, you can easily go up 2-3 ranks if you just stay consistent enough with your you know, with the amount of games that you play. If you're playing a good deck, which you should be. So the other number 2, always go and use somebody else's deck. Do not try to deck build if you're going from rank 12 to rank 6, especially if you're brand freaking new, because you're gonna make a lot of mistakes, you're gonna get really frustrated, and then that's gonna take away from the fun of the game, and then you're gonna go on your favorite social media and you're gonna say how much this game sucks, when in reality it's really just about, you know, being humble and taking the advice that other people give you by making their decks. Legends, what was that link again, Cal?
Which one? Legends-Decks. I think is where most people post deck lists.
Right, Legends-Decks, great place. If you're a Reddit user, Reddit has a lot of people that go in and do decks. They put them up now and then. The other one, if you watch YouTube videos, pause that video right before people, you know, people like Justin Larson, Warriors, Dragon Blade, Tamer, all before those guys get into like the explanation of how the deck works. Literally just copy that deck, all right, watch them play 2-3 games with it, and then try and emulate that as much as possible, because remember, everybody else is going to be either doing the same thing or they're not going to be doing the same thing. So if they're not doing the same thing, you can easily roll them with a well-made deck. Use the budget decks that we showed you, so that, you know, later on down the line, you have something cheap, but you also have something that works a lot. Like these two guys, Kal and Rejection, they're not good just because one day they got in the game and they decided, well, I'm gonna be amazing at this game. They literally study the game. They play easily like 5 hours every single day.
We were on call for, I think, 8 hours yesterday.
Okay, so they play between 5 to 8 hours a day of the game. All right, these guys are like passionate. So anytime that you get someone that passionate and you can copy whatever it is that it's getting them there, you always want to emulate this. So rule 1, persistence. Rule number 2 is emulate. So you want to persistently emulate other people until you get to where you want to be. This is really only 3 rules to it. It's just persistence, emulation, and the third one is usually people will say, oh, just have fun, you know, whatever happens happens. No, like my third rule is always the same one. If you lose, if you find yourself losing a lot, okay, be aware that just because one deck is supposedly quote unquote good doesn't mean that you're good at playing it. Maybe it's just not your style. For example, Kal and I want to say Kal more than myself because I'm more of a variety player. I'll play whatever, but Kal is a very aggro oriented player. His brain works that way. If you put a control deck with Kal will probably know how to use it, but he'll get very exasperated very quickly if he's not doing much with it. Rejection, same thing. If you give him an aggro deck, he's a control oriented player. If you give him an aggro deck, he'll get very exasperated very quickly. So you have to find your niche. Just because you've been trying Sorcerer 10 times and you're going 8-2, it might be that Sorcerer maybe it's not for you. So you want to try something else. You always want to have variety. Have at least 5 different decks from 5 different people. So don't have the same 5 decks from the same person. Have 5 different decks from 5 different people and just rotate them every single game. Every 2-3 games, rotate your decks. That way, by the time that you find your niche, you find what you're in, then you can go ahead and go, okay, so I like aggro decks, so let me go with aggro lists. I like mid-range decks, let me go with mid-range lists. I like control deck, let me go be a horrible person to the rest of humanity. So you have to really, like, those are the 3 rules. So you emulate. No, I'm sorry. Rule number 1 is persistence. Rule number 2 is emulation. And rule number 3 is variety. If you stick to those 3 rules, I guarantee you, before you even are aware of it, in easily 3 or 4 days, you can easily reach rank 6. If you're honestly like a slow player and you're just playing this for fun and just casually, in a week, maybe a week and a half, rank 6 is right there. If you get stuck on Serpent, by the way, don't get frustrated. Everybody gets stuck on Serpent. These guys got stuck on Serpent now and then, so it's not that big of a deal. So that's my bit for climbing from rank 12 up to rank 6.